step up not only to accept what McDermott will bring to the table, but to be leaders in the locker room themselves. The Bonnie's season ended tonight in a way fans didn't expect, but the general consensus is they're really excited to see some more basketball when it tips off tomorrow. And they're hoping that McDermott can kind of right the ship and be the guy that sticks around. In certain cases, the faces of people caught on camera would have to be blurred or distorted. The sheep eventually emerged from the forest on one side of Tonawanda Creek Road. It then ran across the street, and you could hear the screeching of the brakes as cars tried not to hit it. The entrance to the 400 northbound is still closed. He spoke very casually, very openly, joking about what he referred to as old-time style jokes. This is a section of the Robert Moses Parkway that will be taken down in the next phase. Officials say removing this structure will open up the area's green space and make way for future development. City workers were out here all day, just walking around the casino property. I have on my orange tie and my green pants with my white shirt. I'm really starting to look like the flag of Ireland. At Paula's Donuts, where they don't usually have to use Jedi mind tricks to get people to come out. The museum is currently in the process of taking down the carousel piece by piece. John, what started off as a peaceful march and demonstration quickly turned into what protesters are calling an act of civil disobedience. Casey, we're used to seeing big names here at the First Niagara Center, but things get a little different when it comes to security with presidential candidates.
It was getting pretty high. We looked out the window and it was getting really high. It's in my basement, in my garage.
More rain Thursday night meant more flooding along Lake Ontario, and heavy winds and waves knocked out many of the sandbags that stood as the last line of defense between the lake and people's homes.
Sandbags had lost their appeal and they had lost their ability to stop the water. So all the water from here and all the water over there was coming in.
The fire department was out here replacing all the sandbags, rebuilding the walls that got damaged from the heavy waves, and also putting up some new walls to try to protect the area, to protect the residences from further flooding.
Friday, work continued as crews laid more sandbags and worked to pump water out of backyards and basements.
A lot of what you saw last night or early afternoon yesterday, you saw a lot of flooding, a lot of wave action, a lot of water into the streets and around residences. Really has been alleviated today with the new sandbags put in place and also the pumps that have been running around the clock.
Schultz says it's been all hands on deck for more than a month. And for residents like Carol Verlicki, her quiet life on the lake hasn't been so quiet.
But you try to listen to that 24/7, you got to wear earplugs to sleep and things like that. But it's sad.
Schultz says one of the major challenges has been fatigue, with crews working long hours to try to keep up with the flooding. One solution has been to bring in reinforcements.
Like last night, the fire chief worked to bring in 8 different departments to help and assist with them to do the operation, so that we have a great deal of manpower to work through it.
It's work Verlicki says she's grateful for, but with no end in sight and fear of future flooding, she and her husband have considered leaving the area.
A quiet little town that my husband came to retire in, and it turned into this.
In Olcott, Mike Arena, Spectrum News. It was a little after 9 o'clock Friday morning when the SPCA got an unusual call from the Amherst Police. There was a sheep on the lam near Tonawanda Creek Road.
There's really no graceful approach when it comes to a stray sheep. We kind of split up, tried to divide and conquer, and a sheep, any animal like that is going to outrun you.
Officers tracked the sheep into the woods adjacent to the road. Their goal was to capture the woolly wanderer, but they had to proceed with caution to keep him out of harm's way.
2 really big hazards there. One is obviously the road, and the other was the creek behind the houses. We didn't want him in the water either, so we wanted to keep him away from those 2 areas as much as we could.
The sheep eventually emerged from the forest on one side of Tonawanda Creek Road. It then ran across the street, and you could hear the screeching of the brakes as cars tried not to hit it. It then ended up in the backyard of a residency on the other side.
We wanted to kind of fan out and just slowly try to corner it in between the 2 fences.
Now in a contained space, officers were able to surround the sheep. From there, Jaworski did her best Little Bo Peep impression and shepherded the wayward sheep to safety.
My primary goal was just not to let him go. We had him, he was safe and sound, nobody got hurt, so that was a good day.
The SPCA brought the sheep back to headquarters, where he was given a bath and a haircut. Because he was so elusive, officers nicknamed him Gronk, after professional football player and Buffalo native Rob Gronkowski. Gronk will be held at the SPCA for a couple of days. If he's not claimed by his owner, he will be put up for adoption. In Amherst, Mike Arena, Time Warner Cable News.
I have a passion for chocolate. Everyone who knows me knows that. They see how much I eat and they see how much I create.
For about 30 years, chocolate has been Daniel Johnson's life.
First there's chocolate and then there's family. I know it's supposed to be the other way around, but I botched it.
For 15 years, Johnson worked as a chef. In the early 80s, he turned his attention to chocolate and focused his culinary skills on the cocoa bean.
I learned ingredients, and when you match them, they have to be similar enough so that they don't fight one another. Ginger and lemon is a great one, and that comes in dark chocolate.
Johnson has been the owner of Choco Logo Confectionery Design since 1990.
I'm running 3 more caramels today. I'm not making any more truffles.
In 2004, Johnson moved his factory and shop to Broadway, where they've made chocolate treats ever since.
I make these chocolates. Look at this. Can you see how good they are?
Everything had chocolate everywhere, and it was just amazing. It was just, and the smell. You could smell the chocolate.
But Johnson says he's had enough of the grind of being owner, manager, and creator.
It seems that small business in America is changing so fast. In order to keep up with it, you have to work at it 40 hours a week, and I would prefer to work 40 hours a week making chocolate.
The shelves in the shop are close to bare, and Johnson doesn't plan to restock. He's put his recipes, assets, and store up for sale.
My hope is that somebody with the same passion that I have takes it over, because there is a skill set to it, but beyond the technique, everything else is your imagination.
But Johnson says the end of Choco Logo isn't the end for him and the candy he's loved for more than 3 decades.
Endorphins in chocolate give you a release, a freedom that a few other foods have.
Johnson plans to close up shop for good by the end of April.
It's been a wonderful, wonderful 30 years here. Time to go.
In Buffalo, Mike Arena, Spectrum News.